This is the
Sex,
video
sex,
you've been waiting for.
I love sex.
So in this video, we're going to talk about exploring your sexuality after your breakup. So I think it's very important.
Did you say porn? I think you
no.
Important.
I said important.
Porn.
But you've been with your, you've probably been with your ex. What were you saying? Probably,
I'm guessing
two, three, 4 years if you bought this book.
If you bought
or you were married for
that's
2,
probably
3, 4 years, or more.
Or married, for what, 10, 15, and it's like your sexuality has not been expressed, and you're back into the sexual game.
Yeah.
And
even if I was telling Mike that my sex life, up until the day I filed the papers, was really good. It was very fulfilling. But it was with this, I had been with the same man for like 12 years. So even if it was good, or even if you hadn't had sex in 2-3 years in your relationship, we're doing this video because we want you to explore your sexuality. Use this breakup, this divorce, to get out there and not necessarily get out there and have sex with every man you meet, but find out what you.
Well, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Well,
everyone. I'm still trying to...
You're first in line?
Yeah, well, I'm first in line. Give me a call. I'm here. The point of this video, I think, is... in the past, there's been a lot of negative feelings for women towards sex. It's, if you're a slut, that's a negative thing. For a guy to be a whore, that's a positive thing. Well, the world's changing. And I think it's becoming very socially acceptable for women to get out there and enjoy their sex, explore it.
Exactly.
Have a good time. Demand a certain level of sex. Ask for what you want. And I think a lot of women don't do that. And it blows my mind, like how many girls I talk to that are my age that have never had good sex. Or they've never had an orgasm with a partner. And, this is... Wow, there's so much here.
Well, Mike and I talk about this all the time. I believe that your sexuality is very much intertwined with your spirituality. I don't think they're two of the same, or two of different.
I don't think they're separate.
Yeah, thank you. I don't think they're separate.
They're one and the same.
They're one and the same. I do totally believe they're one and the same.
Okay.
So that has really helped me grow as a person. And you might be saying, well, Kim, I don't have a partner. I don't want to go out there and just have sex with anyone. How do I explore my sexuality? And I was telling Mike that I literally started studying up on it. I started studying tantric sex, and I'm gonna throw out all these terms. And if you're interested, just Google it. Tantric sex. I started studying dakinis and courtesans. I know, right? There's all these things that I had no idea. I started looking up the sex shops in my neighborhood, and there may or may not be some in your neighborhood, but there's so many websites that are specifically catered towards women and their pleasure, as far as vibrators, and there's so much out there to give you sexuality. And I feel sometimes when we're in a long-term relationship, we kind of forget about our needs because we're worried about pleasuring our man, and that's it. And I'm saying now, take this time to look up...
To do it right.
Yes, to do it right. Look up those websites that cater to women. Buy books about sexuality. Heck, you go on the internet and there's so much free information about orgasms, about, different positions, about the spirituality of sexuality. There's so much out there that honestly, for the last 13 years, I hadn't even bothered to research because I was like, oh, I got a man.
So what are we saying here? We're saying that you got a second chance. You got a rebirth.
Yes.
And you got a rebirth into your sexuality, and it's time to really do it different and to do it right and to be selfish.
And you're more mature. You're older. When I got with my ex-husband, I was 22, and now I'm 36. That's a big, growing, maturing process. I'm a woman now, and I'm sure you are too. And I'm saying own your sexuality. And by owning your sexuality, you don't have to go out and have sex with every man you meet, unlike what Mike says, or once. But you can own your sexuality just by knowing that, you're sexy and you're wonderful, and there's so many options out there for you to explore, that it's not a bad thing to want sex or desire sex or think about it.
And it's not a bad thing to slut around a little bit. You know, forgive the term. But to be a little bit wild, it's not a bad thing. You don't have to tell anybody.
Exactly. You don't have to tell anyone. Your preacher doesn't need to know.
Just be promiscuous. Date like 3 guys, 4 guys. Well, number 3 is kind of the limit. 3 guys at the same time. I find with 4, you just start mixing up names.
Yeah.
You know, it's do you
Seriously.
remember in that movie where
Oh, that wasn't you.
Yeah.
And it also helps you not to get attached.
Yeah, and this is another reason why I say really start to date heavily is because you won't get attached, and it gives you a lot of power as well because the guys are like, wow, why isn't she into me?
Exactly.
Well, the reason you're not into him is because you got Franco and Jonathan on the side here, and that's wonderful.
Well,
that's a great dynamic.
Very European names.
I don't know because you have the hots for Jonathan.
I know.
Yeah.
I think I dated a Franco once.
Franco.
He was Italian. Anyway.
Oh yeah, Frank. Anyway.
No.
Yeah.
Inside joke.
Anyway,
start getting out there and exploring your sexuality. But like we were saying, there's so much just on the internet. And once you do have a sexual partner, tell him or her what you want, what feels good, what you like. Let it be all about you.
Sure. And with that said, you know, act like a man for a little while. See what it's like. There's no reason.
Always with protection.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah, of course. I'm kidding.
Yeah. Always with protection.
But what I'm saying is, like, act like a man. Take on a male role. See what it's like to just be wild and fun.
Very interesting. It's very empowering.
It's very empowering. And the interesting part is you take on a masculine role, guess who takes on the feminine role? The dude. And that's really interesting.
Yeah, you probably don't want this to be your next long-term relationship.
Probably not.
It's fun.
It is fun. It's interesting. Learning about your own mind and learning how people work, learning power balance. It's awesome.
I also think, you know, you were saying the slutting around or just having sex. For me, being empowered sexually is being able to make that decision. Saying, yeah, I do want to sleep with you. Or no, I don't want to sleep with you because I just don't. So owning your sexuality isn't about having tons and tons of sex.
Yeah.
Owning your sexuality is making the decision about what you want. Not needing to have sex to get a man. Like, oh, he'll like me if I have sex with him. No, get rid of that mentality.
I will like you if you have sex with me. I will. I swear.
Yeah, you'll like them for a night. See, I know.
Maybe 2.
I'm learning. This
if
is
you're
why.
lucky, maybe 2. Come on.
So own it, girl. Own it.